Hello, hello again, everyone. We're gonna start in 2 minutes with our next talk. I invite everybody to sit down take some more drinks, and yeah, it's a very interesting talk. I'm not gonna say too much. Gonna introduce the speakers in 1 minute. Feel free to sit down, and let's go. Where? If our awesome speakers would want to come up, would be awesome. Feel free to sit down, grab a drink. Would be awesome if you actually. Yeah, sorry for the time constraint. We started a little bit later, everything, so our agenda got kind of pushed later, but it's about enjoying. I'm very happy and honored to present you Anna and Lana. Both are going to present their backgrounds, of course, more Anna from Michael Page and Starkware, and Lana from Starkware. Yeah, I'm going to give you just the floor. Big round of applause for the two speakers, please.
Hi. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. All right, before we start talking, maybe a short question into the audience because we want to make it a bit interactive. Who here is already a blockchain developer working for a protocol or on a project? Please raise your hand. Okay, interesting. And who is a developer, or maybe not yet a developer, but wants to get into blockchain and decided, okay, this might be a good place to start, or maybe to learn some information, meet some people. So who's a developer but not in blockchain yet? Please raise your hand. That's interesting. Not that many people raise their hands. I'm not sure if people are just shy to answer or if you guys are just something else than developers. I'm not sure. But we'll find out. Anyhow, just wanted to see how the experience is. Yeah, and regarding us, so what will this talk be about? We'll be talking about careers in blockchain as developers. And I got asked to make this, make this talk. And I thought, okay, I'm a career development expert because I work for Michael Page, which is a leading recruitment agency. But I also think it's really, really good to invite an actual developer to this talk and to ask her some interesting questions about her career, how she moved into this, and yeah, to see if something of this can be inspiring for you guys. And at the end, we'll be happy to also have your questions, if you guys have questions about that. So feel free to think about questions while we be talking. Yeah, and again, regarding myself, Anna from Page. So if you look for new jobs, feel free to approach me. Doing only Web3. And yeah, happy to be here. Now I'm happy to introduce Lana. And maybe you want to do it actually yourself.
Hi everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for coming as well. We're going to be talking about getting into blockchain. So I'm currently working as an engineer at Starkware, part of the exploration team. Basically bootstrapping and kicking off open source projects which are meant to be either public goods or ways to onboard new developers or just to experiment with ideas. So some of the or actual companies. One of the companies that came from our team is, for example, the verifiable EVM Kakarot, which is an EVM written in Cairo, which is Starkware's provable language. But okay, this is not supposed to be a too technical talk, right?
So it's okay. If you feel, because some people develop here, so.
I've been in the space for 6 years, and I think that today I'd like to highlight basically that getting into the space 6 years ago, getting into the space 3 years ago, and getting into the space today is very, very different. And today, blockchain is becoming more and more integrated into education, yeah, which I am observing from hackathons and basically, TUM in Munich and TU Berlin reaching out about potential, like partnerships and programs with students, and a lot more like students inside universities like doing PhDs and things like that in blockchain. So I feel like the space is, just ways to enter it are becoming different.
Yeah, definitely. But actually, that's a good point. Maybe you can start with your story, how it all began. Maybe even before starting to work in blockchain. How did you learn about Bitcoin? What was your story or initial spark?
I did a master's degree in mathematics department, but I didn't go into academia. And I spent kind of like a gap year teaching math in China, which is all, was good fun, but it didn't feel like
Just a
a
short
real
question, out of curiosity.
career.
You speak fluent Chinese?
No, of course not. No,
Okay.
I speak fluent
Just-
English.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Okay. It didn't feel like it was a good, I don't know, application of things. And then because it was 2017 and it was right before the bull market. Who remembers that summer 2017? Krista, Henry, I know you do. So summer 2017, right? And it was a very interesting summer because I flew back home, and my very agitated cousin called me and said, I have something really interesting going on. Like, you have to come over. I was like, what? He's like, Bitcoin. I was like, dude, I have no idea about Bitcoin. I have no idea about blockchain. Like, leave me alone. And that's how I got into blockchain. I got invited to join a team. We went to a hackathon in Kazan. I met Vitalik there in Nepalis. And basically I started learning coding, and slowly, I just got into the space because people were looking for people with math experience, knowledge, and understanding, and not just coding. So.
And since you mentioned it, of course, how was it to meet Vitalik? Like, what was your moment? Where did you meet him? Yeah.
Just like I felt like a stalker. He doesn't.
Well, it's the same for me when I met him in Paris at some cocktail party, and I was just like, and somebody was like, yeah, Vitalik is here, and I'm like, yeah, of course he's here, it's FCC, and then he was like, no, it's like 2 meters from me, and yeah, basically I lost it a bit.
Yes, at that time, I think it was a little bit difficult to discern a serious protocol, and there was the ICO craze, yeah, and at that time, basically, when you say blockchain career, when you start working on a blockchain project that day, I don't think you could really plan ahead as much as you can today, right? So when today, if you're launch, like for example, let's say like Chris, right? Like in Solana, yeah? Like, do you see yourself in Solana in 5 years from today? Like realistically, you're able to like visualize it, right? Similarly, like I can visualize like 5 years from now, like when I'm joining, like Starknet, or if someone's working maybe in the Cosmos ecosystem, right? But back in that day, from 2017, looking into like 2022, I had no clue where it would take, right? So when you join the space today, it's a bit more lit a little bit further into the future.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the protocols that were around in 2017, I mean, of course, some of those that are still big, well, were already there, but many just, went downhill or are not active anymore. So, yeah, and I think the percentage is definitely increasing of those where you, as you said, you can plan ahead, and probably it will not all go downhill. So, yeah, let's see, of course, what happens in the next 2 years. Yeah, but what would you say then, maybe how did you really get into the grid projects? Because you've been working for Parity then afterwards, and you are now working at Stark. And what kind of tips would you give the audience, like if they want to enter the space today in general as blockchain developers, and also make it into a great project?
So what I like in that sense in blockchain is that there are islands of merit-based situations, right? So in the sense that you can have open source code, you can have your contributions, your GitHub, and it doesn't matter where you are. You could be a woman in Afghanistan, or you could be a guy in Mexico, and it doesn't matter, right? It's like if, you know, these two people do the same contribution in GitHub, it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter, you know, what kind of social status you have, like you can enter the space, right? So I forgot where I was going with all this.
That's okay, no problem. We break it down. So if somebody would be starting now, because we had a couple of people raising their hands saying, hey, we're just starting into blockchain space as developers, what kind of tip would you give based on your experience then and also today?
Okay, now I remember my thought. Yeah, so it's about skills, right? It's about building your skills. And I feel that together with various solutions that are being developed today, right, with DIDs and badges and ZK things, yeah, all these like proofs of attendance and POAPs and stuff, you can build your, I like how they call it, something like developer legacy. So you can essentially create a portfolio without, like you don't have to have like a degree from Harvard, or you don't need to, you know, like have rich parents or something. So you can build your skills, and today there are amazing courses out there, yeah, by very talented people who, you know, there's all sorts of videos and gamification and rewards and whatnot. There's crypto zombies, and then there's Patrick, the Patrick guy. You know what I'm talking about, right? Patrick Collins, yeah. So I really like his like, he does like full stack courses on Solidity, and there's also good like security courses. So essentially, whatever you look, you know, for example, you mentioned Parity. I worked Parity before, so there's the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, yeah. So you can go for 5 weeks and get amazing like teaching curriculum, yeah, from one of the best like, you know, Polkadot devs out there, like learning Rust and Substrate, and it's all like, how about you do like maybe like the entry exercise, yeah? So it's very skill based, and basically how, like, if you're a hard worker or not, yeah. So you can, I feel like anyone can grind their way into this space. It's very important to like not be intimidated by it, but
yeah. And maybe a sub question. Hackathons specifically, like this one, for instance, or in general, because everybody's doing hackathons. It's a lot of them. You mentioned it. Maybe 2017 they already existed, but today it's much more. Like, how many people really get employed afterwards by those top protocols? Like, what's your feeling? I mean, if you guys are doing Starkware or StarkCC, for instance, how many people do you actually employ afterwards, or is it more like a marketing thing?
I see. Well, you know, when you say we. Yeah, so for example, when the StarkNet Foundation, yeah, so for example, we have hacker houses happening, I think, every 3 or 4 months. So there's going to be a hacker house now in Denver. And basically when we say like, it's more about how many people get into the ecosystem. So I always laugh that, you know, once you contributed a line of code to the, I'm leading an open source project, the implementation of Cairo VM in Zig. It's like, once you write a line of code, you know, like to this repository, that's it. You're in. There's no way out of it.
So basically, I would say it definitely makes sense to go to those hackathons and to write your code lines, to kind of get noticed.
It's more about your interest. I think, like, you know, making one contribution or maybe going to one hacker house isn't really enough. But if you go to the hacker house and you end up like in the top 10, you're definitely going to be noticed. And it's more about finding what you like, yeah, like what kind of application or product you want to create, because some people are into real world assets and some people are creating a Cairo debugger that was born out of like provable SQL queries. People come and sometimes create like very cool, very technical things, or less technical, but just like more like real world oriented. But yeah, but definitely out of the hacker houses, what we want to see is people polishing ideas, creating obviously MVPs, and then coming to the foundation and saying, hey, give me a grant because I want to build this out, right? So and also build their skills, yeah, because people spend like 4 days like not sleeping and, you know, not exploring the amazing cities that the hacker houses are usually in, but really, really like getting their skills up. And the level of the developers that come to the hacker houses these days is really high. It's very enjoyable to mentor these hacker houses because you're like, wow, it's really.
And is there any hackathon or hacker house that you particularly would recommend for people to join, where you say you maybe had a very, very positive experience, or are they all very similar? Is there anything standing out?
No. Well, I mean, definitely, you know, like every ecosystem has a bit of a different vibe, yeah? So I'm sure that the Solana ecosystem is a fun, cool place to be, yeah? But for example, what stands out, you know, like what's special about Starknet, right? Starknet is not by design EVM compatible, yeah? So, I mean, neither is Solana, right? But, you know, this isn't something that you can like just grab some sort of Uniswap and just go and deploy it on Starknet. No, if you spend your time learning Cairo, which is Rust-like, so you probably already know some Rust to a degree. You know, if you spend your time to learn Cairo, which is a version of Rust in a sense, and you actually do that, you're not creating a garbage project. You're actually working on something. Like you are betting on this ecosystem, right? So, even though Cairo is a language that was created by Starkware, and what is good about it is that the cryptography under it is completely abstracted away from the developer. Of course, if you're very curious, you can go and learn the FRI protocol and so on. But the thing is that Cairo is a language which is then compiled to Chasm, which is Cairo assembly, which is then processed by the CPU, which is the Cairo VM, and that outputs a certain trace, and then from there the trace in the memory is turns into polynomial commitments and so on and so forth into Starks. But the idea is that a Cairo developer doesn't need to know any of it, right? But nevertheless, Cairo, like the main power of Cairo, which doesn't have even to be a blockchain application written in Cairo, it could be a completely off-chain program. Yeah, so for example, Giza, it does machine learning in Cairo, so it's provable machine learning, right? So I don't have to go and rerun the whole model that they wrote. I can just get a proof that they ran it. So that's amazing, and I think this is what's valuable. So because this moon math, yeah, this magic math behind the provable calculations, yeah, which allows to scale any kind of computation, not just blockchain related. That like for me personally, like ZK techniques, yeah, so Cairo isn't ZK, but verifiable, provable, yeah, so that's a bit different. We're not hiding anything. But generally, like all this math stuff is very attractive personally to me. So if you understand like the value of what provable programs, like the power that it brings to the developer, and you know you're interested in just generally like layer 2 and scaling, then of course Starknet hacker houses is the way to go. But then you know maybe you prefer Solana. So, but yeah, it's like who said that? That guy. What's your name? Yeah, Mark. Yeah, like Martin. Yeah, like you said before, like a very good thing that our space is so small right now. Yeah, that I would much rather, you know, like send a guy to like Chris and say join the Solana hacker house than like it's not about fights between ecosystems. There's so much negativity going on in crypto Twitter these days around different things that let's all be friends and love tech.
Let's see. Maybe we'll all go to the other alternative on the other thing, the non-Twitter thing, the crypto version of it. Anyways, thank you. I was like thinking, but yeah, maybe we'll move there and less toxic stuff. But yeah, no, thank you very much for all these insights on the hackathons and also on your personal things. And you already started mentioning what excites you about also Starcore specifically. I mean, you work there, obviously. You should be excited about it. But anything else, either inside Stark or also inside like the general blockchain ecosystem that you're seeing, either in terms of programming languages or in terms of ecosystems where you say, wow, I'm super hyped for this, even though I'm maybe not working on this. Anything that you would like to mention here?
Definitely L2s is the jam these days, and there are different decentralized sequencers out there. Obviously, Ziggy Sync is very interesting, but specifically in when I was in Prague, like I went to Kazım Wazım events, and I got just really good vibes from it, and I think that just having a good atmosphere is definitely like for work, yeah, you know, because blockchain permeates lives of developers, of people who work in it, like completely, you know, like anyone who's in blockchain knows that we do blockchain related things 24/7. We open the phone in the morning, we go to bed, Sunday, Saturday, we don't care what time of day, it permeates the life completely. And what you definitely don't want to be is being around people that you don't want to be around, right? You just you want to be in good hands, right? And yeah, the darknet ecosystem completely charmed me because of it's a pretty high bar to get into it in terms of like difficulty of, I think, learning the language, and but generally very hardworking people, very smart, with very good ideas, with and a great sense of humor, and very, very community oriented, very people oriented, regardless of what's being said right now online. Everything is taken in good stride and with attempts to think about how to make it better. And
yeah, I'd agree. Since I've been to 3 of your CC events in Paris and Lisbon over the last years, definitely strong community vibe and very, very tech oriented. So really strong math. Yeah, I don't know. Like you feel that people are really into the tech here. And yeah, I don't know. I think maybe from my personal side, I'm not a developer, so I don't know, but I'm actually curious on your opinion, because I also think it's interesting to see about the Move language, what happens on Sui and Aptos. But I'm not sure because not everybody agrees on that, but I don't know. I listened to a talk from their CTO at the Sui Hacker House, and I also found that pretty interesting. Like basically, I don't know, it's always interesting to see people introducing new languages, if it makes sense, why it makes sense, but maybe also something for some people to have a look at, because it could be interesting. And yeah. But any languages that you would also recommend for people to learn, where you would say, okay, learn Rust or learn something else, which is like the thing for you?
Definitely Zig. Who here has heard of Zig? Zig, Z-I-G. Okay, if someone has not heard of Zig, please Google Zig Lang right now. So I've worked with Rust. Nice. So basically, Zig, what I found very nice, it's definitely a lot easier to learn than Rust, just the syntax. And there's a Solana client written in Zig, right? There's. Oh, okay. And yeah, so we started implementing part of the stack in Zig, so specifically the Cairo VM in Zig. And I rediscovered the joys of programming, like after daily Rust torture. So basically, yeah, it just doesn't have any hidden control flows. It's got like this comp time compilation magic, and it's way closer to English. No hidden like memory things, so all the allocations is quite differs, and allocations are quite explicit. Like it's like the debugger always tells you like about memory leaks, so it seems fairly like straightforward to debug. Although I think the debugger in a couple of years will be a lot more powerful, and the error trace will become better. But essentially, because of how much easier it was to code and how it aims to be like a super optimized, fast language and it has a built-in C compiler, I felt that it has a potential to be a very powerful blockchain language like in a year or two from now. So there are some people who are getting a developer partnership with the foundation to keep building a sequencer and a prover in Zig. And I won't be surprised if in like not super soon, but sometime in the future, we're going to have like the whole stack potentially written in Zig. And I don't know, if someone comes to me and says, hey, Lana, what should I learn, Rust or Zig? I'll say, go learn Zig.
That's an interesting one. Definitely good alpha. All right, I would say I'm done with my questions. So thank you so much for answering for all of them and super really good insights. I would say, yeah, to all the people here who are still here looking at us and maybe also Googling the Zig language already, do you guys have questions that you want to ask? Because Lana's here now.
I forgot the most important thing that I wanted to say.
Right.
So basically, apart from hacker houses and such things, one of the best ways today for someone to get into blockchain coding is only Dust. So if you go to onlydust.com, you're going to find that they're integrated with several ecosystems, including Starknet. And what you do is you connect your GitHub handle to it. You go to a project which has a flag looking for contributors. You go to the project, you just say hello, you go to the GitHub repo, there's issues, you pick an issue, you work on it, and then whoever's managing the project sends you crypto. It is absolutely amazing. It's super nice. They also do their hacker houses. They're going to do a house in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, quite soon for like 6 weeks, right after ETH Denver. So yeah, definitely if you're like into open source work and contributions, if you're looking to start, if you're like transitioning from Web 2, like doing that is super nice. And it's I feel like it's not pressing work because it's well, for example, in our projects, like when we start them, when we kick them off, it's a lot more about experimenting and learning and seeing what can come out of something, which might later be taken over by a company and become some kind of entity. But when it starts, it's very experimental and gamified in a way, yeah. But the rewards are real, right? So.
Talking about rewards, actually, I think also something that people shouldn't underestimate is, in general, the GitHub, to keep it active, to be very active there.
Absolutely.
Because also, like, a friend of mine who's working for a project on Celestia, he got a very big Celestia airdrop because he's been active on GitHub and, like, obviously also blockchain projects, but in general was very visible there. And so that can also pay off, actually, in addition to your normal job. So maybe also good.
Yeah, some of my teammates got very fat airdrops as well. I didn't.
See, so definitely a good point to mention. So be active on GitHub. Yeah, but Jeremy.
Yeah, there's definitely airdrops that go to just if you went into the Rust repo and just opened the PR, even like fixing typos, you can get a drop from someone. So people definitely airdrops are becoming more and more tech oriented. That's true.
Okay, cool. Then I would say thank you so much for being here with me and talking about all this. And I would say, do you guys have questions? Anything you'd like to ask? Would you like to know? Perfect.
Well, yeah. Well, you need to present information about yourself in some form. So, of course, you need... No. Like, yeah, usually people ask you to send a PDF about you.
But I think, so GitHub, I mean, from the recruiter side, I would say, of course, the CV is kind of like you have to have some kind of CV or LinkedIn or whatever. But I would say the GitHub cannot be underestimated because people really, at least in the engineering and tech department, my impression is that they really do look at the GitHub. Or sometimes I got feedbacks like, yeah, okay, that person's not really active there, like there's not much information, okay, can't be that good. Or on the other side, okay, like that friend of mine, it's like, ooh, okay, that person's all over it and like, you know, very active, and it's definitely speaking for that person. It's similar to a marketing job, which is totally different thing, but I was presenting CMOs for a client of mine, And they also had 3 talks with one of my candidates. Everything vibed well, but then they looked at the person's Twitter profile. And I have to admit, it was the beginning of my own Web3 recruitment journey. I didn't really check it, even though I know, of course, Twitter is the marketing thing, but I was like, hey, she's a good CMO, you know? And they were like, okay, she has like 300 followers on Twitter. Like, how's she gonna grow our Twitter, which is part of her job? And I was like, yeah, good point, actually. And so these kind of things, because you in your CV, you can say whatever about how you work and what you do, but what you put out there online, what can be found about you is definitely, I think, the one thing that might be the deciding factor in the end.
Well, yeah, what would be like a technical task, maybe in a Web 2 company, would be like show your GitHub in a Web 3 place.
Oh, there's another question, yeah.
Say again, sorry? One of them, yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, anybody else having questions, something you want to ask, or maybe even say? I mean, you don't have to ask. You can also.
Why do you think people should work in crypto other than working for enterprise?
Okay. You want to answer?
No, it's a real question.
Mm.
Because why wouldn't you work in TradFi? Why wouldn't you work in a modern bank rather than coming to an ecosystem that is riddled with, you hear all these bad things about it. Crypto still doesn't have a good life. Why should somebody even consider working in crypto when it's so unstable compared to going to a bank, Deutsche Bank?
Well, do you believe that crypto, like for example, we can protect against hacks, we can have better security practices, we can train more auditors? Like, do you believe in that? You do. I also do. I think we can definitely better the space. There are endless ways to improve it, but who here has gotten N26 randomly like blocked their account at a very wrong moment? Not cool, right? Yeah, not cool. Like you just need to like 5 times. Maybe you should be blocked. No, like 5 times. I mean, like it's super frustrating, and like you can't reach them, you can't do anything. You just go like wait for a month, and yeah. So yeah, Twitter's definitely like the way. But the thing is that you need to have some kind of like if I didn't have crypto like in parallel to my blocked funds, then it would just
be hard, huh? And I also think, I mean, in the end, if I look at my own journey, I mean, I've been doing tech recruitment for 10 years for Web 2, just in like Germany. And I have to admit, like, yeah, it was challenging and all, but it was a chill life because you knew what you're doing, people are reliable. And then I entered Web3 because I was just so into it and I loved this whole topic and I was thinking about it 24/7, so similar to you. And then I was like, yeah, let's start Web3 recruitment here and pitched this and got the okay and everything. And then I went to all those conferences and I mean, starting it all in the bear market is really tough because, yeah, people will look at me like, oh, recruitment, you really came at a good time. We're like firing left and right and yeah, great moment to start. So, and there's less reliability. There's lots of, people, I don't know, I talked to Yuga Labs about hirings with them, and they were like, yeah, we will be employing 40 people this year. That was last year. And then 3 months later, the whole recruitment team got fired, and I was like, okay, things change like this. So it's very, very unreliable in a way compared to traditional stuff. But for me, of course, in those moments, I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I could just do chilled recruitment with my 20 recruiters that I was leading, which I all gave up to be here on my own with my working student for Web3. But I don't know, it's just, it's cool, it's exciting, it's international. The people you talk to are incredibly smart. And I don't know, like, also the people that are interested in this. I mean, I reached out to the Netflix co-founder on LinkedIn because I was like, hey, I also saw you investing and doing startup investments. What do you think about blockchain? Are you investing in that? And he replied, or maybe his student doing his, but I believe it was him, okay. And he replied, yeah, super interesting. I'm also investing in blockchain, Let's talk sometime if ever you come to the US. And I was like, okay, this is really happening. That's kind of cool. Like, you know, the people, the movers of this world are interested in this. That's kind of cool. And yeah, to help build this place, because the N20, the traditional TradFi stuff, yeah, of course, it's also building and growing, but it's like, it's not so exciting. I think most of us are here because we feel like we're kind of in a moment where the world might be changing towards something, and that's kind of cool. And to be at the forefront of this, to be relatively early, I think that's what makes it like, yeah, gives you the goosebumps when you're here and you're like, ooh, that's actually nice and cool. Yeah. Cool, there are no other questions. Thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you.
Really, thank you very much. Big round of applause again. We can do it twice. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Lana, for this very insightful talk. I hope you all took notes if you're looking for a job in the Web3 space. You got the persons that are able to help you right there. Now I will give the mic to Enderchen here. Ender and Jakobchen. Ender and Jakob. Yeah, guys, you just do your thing. Hope you're all enjoying. Grab some drinks and yeah, chill.
Thank you very much. If you like, Yes, so we will talk a little bit about the founder's perspective. I'm also very new to the thing called blockchain. I just realized, like, I entered the market 7 years ago, but like after like 6 years, I understood how like little we understood, and yeah, that the tech is really evolving, like fast-paced. So knowledge and like things you were thinking that were true like 7, 8 years ago change with the time. But there's always stables. So what like I realized is there's always like the theme is going on. So we always have like a new thing emerging, a new technology emerging. Like 2017, it was CryptoKitties. Then it was NFTs, then it was DeFi. Now it's becoming soul-bound tokens or non-tradable tokens, for at least what I think may be coming. So we are gonna present you what happens when two people that don't really understand the tech try to do a blockchain startup. So please also an applause for Jacob, co-founder We Do Build Together.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jacob. I'm the CTO of our young company, Peer Network, and I don't really have a clue what I'm doing here, but I'm sitting here and talking to you guys. It has been a long, long day for both of us, and yeah, we're just here to end this event off before the Ideathon and have a last talk. And yeah, I'm not even a crypto trader or crypto holder as Ender is. I'm actually only into the technical aspects of it. I don't know much yet, but I find it really interesting because there are so many possibilities and so many ways you can go in the space. And yeah, it's just a whole new universe for techies, I guess.
Yeah, so Jacob does the tech, so he's our CTO, I'm the CEO. I really find blockchain interesting because of the economical aspects of hard, sound money. So I think cryptocurrencies give us like the chance to have the new generation of valuable items that is not clonable or not like producible without a trust intermediate, so a third-party trust person. So the question is, okay, when you do blockchain, you have energy inefficiencies, you have distributed ledger technology where you like copy the data to all different nodes. So which use case can benefit from this technology? So which use case has like enough importance to justify this high resource intensity? We can always lower the resource intensity by centralizing, but then we are like also like sacrificing a lot of these nice aspects from cryptocurrencies or like blockchain-based technologies. So we as Peer Network were thinking that this, we really enjoy Bitcoin. So this is like what I can like straight say, Bitcoin, amazing stuff. Buy it, you don't do anything wrong, not financial advice, do your own research. But there's always the question, okay, if money is a good example to use distributed ledger technology, because the money, you don't want to trust anyone. What's the next thing you could trust? And we think that the next thing is social media, or the safety of what you say online. So how can you verify history? How can you verify what someone told? How can you be sure that freedom of speech and the freedom of you online is guaranteed? And we really think that blockchain is a technology that can help us. So thank you everyone for joining us here today, that we can bring it more to a point to give it to everyone and make it understandable. And yeah, I'm very sorry, it was a really long day. This talk is very confused, so yeah. Oh, interactive, yeah, just ask.
Yeah, Peer, we are a young startup from Berlin. We are also upstairs in the HUBRAUM, and we are here since 3 months, but Ender and I started on the project 5 to 6 years ago, I think. And we are creating a social network, and by now we're calling it mostly Web 2.5, because we are trying to make a connection between a normal existing social network on 2.0, Web 2.0, and just push the 3.0 financial systems into it. So we have a clone of both of them, because right now there are lots of problems with the data structure, or not problems, but the current social media needs so much data that enrolling the whole system on Web3 would be a rather big task. So right now we are trying to combine both worlds and make a working app. And in core, it's just a social media app like Instagram or anything else. But you as the content creator will get instant rewards with the peer token later on, or any kind of blockchain actually. And yeah, the whole thing is about getting the power from the big players like Instagram, Meta, YouTube. They all get the revenues from the advertisers. They get big shares for data analysis and all this. And we think that's not fair, because the data, the content, the activities are from the users, and they should be the one who get the money for this.
Also, I would like to just say about something about what is Web 2.5. So we think decentralization is not something we need for everything in our lives. It's a cool thing, and I think there's definitely practical use, but we think for a social media we don't need it. Social media can use normal centralized architecture, but the moment you have important data on your social media, the moment you have earned money with your social media, we want to give the user gateways to pay the tax, to pay the fees, to decentralize the data, save it on a blockchain, and make it safe forever. So this means most transactions don't need this extra security, but we are providing the bridge between old Web 2.0 fast, scalable, instant infrastructure and the new tech Web 3.0 secure, immutable, and you own your own data. So Web 2.5 is the hybrid form that is scalable but safe enough.
Yeah, are there any questions, or should we just keep on rambling about what we're doing here? Any questions?
Okay. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks.
Great talk.
Also, the DJs are getting warm. We have a lot of beer. It needs to be finished. So please help us, grab a beer, enjoy the evening. Also, stay tuned for the hackathon.